Okay, here we go. This is the first time I've ever done a YouTube video, so I want to protect my identity because what I'm talking about is about hospitals and doctors and the way that hospitals and doctors treat people. So I want to protect my identity from being able to identify who I am. So back in 2016, 17, I went to the hospital and I had a problem with my stomach. So after I went to the hospital and had a problem with my stomach, they kept sending me back and forth, and told me that there wasn't an issue, there wasn't nothing wrong. So I kept on and on and on, and I kept staying in pain with it and staying in pain with it and staying in pain with it. Literally, it was so bad. I was in so much pain that I was literally crawled from work that whole day. I stayed at work that whole day. And then I went to the emergency room. And when I went to the emergency room said, well, it's just something that's happening. So let's see what happens. So after I seen that, I stayed in pain with it and stayed in pain with it. So I went back to the emergency room again. They ran a bunch more tests. They couldn't find nothing. After they done run more tests, they run extra tests to see if it was like a kidney stone or something like that, and it wasn't. So we just kept going back and forth with it. And I went to a major hospital, and this major hospital told me that it wasn't an issue. So I kept having pain with it and pain with it, and then I went to this backwoods country hospital. To come to find out, after months of this pain just intensifying, I went to this backwoods country hospital, and come to find out I have what they call C. diff. So they did the doctor come into the room, and after they figured out I had C. diff, the doctor come in the room and he said, "Sir, this is what's going to happen. Either you're going to have a fecal transplant, or you're going to die." So I said, "What do I need to do to get a transplant?" And he explained to me what I needed to do to get a transplant. So I literally got the transplant done. Okay, and they thought that was going to fix it. Well, lo and behold, I went back to the hospital again because I was hurting again. So once I went to the hospital again, the doctor was like, "Okay, we're not seeing anything on CAT scan. We're not seeing nothing on CT scan. We're not seeing nothing on your MRI. We're not seeing anything." So I said, "Okay." I said, "So what do we do?" And the doctor was like, "I'm not sure what to do." He said, "We're not finding anything." So this went on for about 3 or 4 months. And then once it went on for about 3 or 4 months, they kept doing x-rays, CT scan, x-ray, come up with nothing. I was like, well, there's got to be something wrong because I'm in so much pain that there's got to be something wrong. And it's just not showing up. Well, here in today's society with hospitals and doctors and stuff, they go by the way that the test results are. They don't go by the way that a person feels like they used to. I wish we would go back to the way that people feel instead of the way that if it doesn't show up on an x-ray, it really doesn't exist. Or if it doesn't show up on a CAT scan, it really doesn't exist. And I think that we need to go back to the way it used to be, to where we see what's going on and the doctor actually can go in there and look at it. Okay, so in between this time, I kept going back and forth to the emergency room, and We don't see nothing. We don't see nothing. We don't see nothing. This is after I'd already been treated for C. diff and had my fecal transplant and everything. And they're saying, well, we don't see nothing. We don't see nothing. We don't see nothing. So in the meantime, my kidneys started acting up. So I ended up having to do in and out gas. Well, the doctor said, sir, we're not seeing anything. If I seen anything on any of the scans, I would take you straight to surgery. So we kept on going and going and going and going. And he kept saying that he's not seeing anything, blood work's good, everything's good. But it's not, because I'm still hurting. I'm still not feeling 100%, still sick, still vomiting, still doing everything that I was doing before all this happened. So the GI doc got involved again, and he said, I don't think it's anything to do with your insides or in your stomach or in anything like that. So we kept going back and forth. This is 6 months, and I'm just sitting there in excruciating pain, and it just hurts so bad. Now, to remind you, this was back in 2016, 2017. So, and this is going to be a multiple part series, because there's going to be other stuff that I'm going to be talking about as far as what I went through with health, because I'm still going through stuff right now. And I would love for y'all to follow me on this journey so we can actually see what's actually happening. And the reason I call it a journey is because it's in and out, in and out, in and out, hospitals, in and out of doctor's appointments, in and out. So, and literally at the same time, I'm still having issues. So, back in 2016, 17, after all the CAT scans and everything come back negative, the doctor said, okay, there's not a lot that I can do. So, what happened after that was the doctor said, well, we do have one option. And this was 6, 7 months later, where I'm in so much pain I can't stand myself. He said, I can go in and do exploratory surgery. And I said, okay. I said, if that's an option, let's do that. So he literally went in, done exploratory surgery, and in my stomach lining, he found a tumor. It's about 18 inches. No CAT scan found it, no MRI found it, no nothing found it. But it existed. And literally, we have pictures of the way of what he took out. So after that, everything started going good. My swelling in my stomach went down. Stuff started acting right. So I said, okay. And then I started, after my pre-op visit, I said, my stomach's still bothering me. So I told the surgeon, I said, my stomach's still bothering me. So he immediately went for a CAT scan. Well, when he went for the CAT scan, come to find out, I had developed a hernia up underneath the tumor. So immediately after that, he had to end up going into a surgery to take the tumor out. Take the hernia out, so I wouldn't be hurting no more. In between this time, I done had TARP surgery, which is a bladder where they go in and fix the bladder and try to fix all that, and none of it was working. So literally, we took a lot of time putting into this, and I just want to let people know what I've been through in all of this and what I'm still going through today, because people deserve to know the truth about how doctors treat people and about the way that doctors and hospitals tell people lies. They will lie to them and tell them something that is not true, and just to get you out the door, or just to get you in, or just to get you to go where you're going. So I want to spread the way that it is and the way the truth is. So I'm coming onto YouTube and I'm gonna make a series of it because it's gonna have to be done in a series. Because like I said, I'm still having issues today, and so it's gonna have to be a series of what's going on. Uh, so in the meantime, from 2016 to 2024, I hadn't had any problems, and then all of a sudden, problems started arising again of the same thing. My stomach is so swollen and so distended that literally you can't even push my stomach because it's so distended. Okay, so as of right now, I have a catheter inside of me because with the way that my stomach is distended right now, it's going on to, it's pushing on other organs to make them other organs to where they're not functioning properly, like your lungs, your heart, your kidneys. The first thing to go is your kidneys. So I ended up having to have what they call a suprapubic catheter inserted so that I could so that my bladder would start working the way it's supposed to be working and the correct way it's supposed to be working. So they put that in. They done a TARP surgery, which is basically the second time I've had TARP surgery done. The first time should have fixed it, but for some reason it did not fix it. So with everything being said, the doctors are just pulling at strings, trying to figure out why am I still so swollen. And in the meantime, I'm having to deal with all the pain again, dealing with all the suprapubic catheters, trying to get it all cleaned out and trying to get it all fixed and trying to get everything done. And in the meantime, the doctor is just saying, hey, the CAT scans, MRIs, or anything's not showing anything again. So we've had doctors, we've had surgeons look at it, we've had everybody look at it we needed to look at it to try to get it to the way it is. So in the meantime, I'm having to deal with this all over again in this way because of the way that our health system and everything is. So I'm having to relive 2016, which there should be no reason that I'm having to relive 2016 if they knew that I had a tumor that had developed and they couldn't find it on a CT or they couldn't find it on an MRI. But they are. They're still saying, oh, we're not sure what it is. We're not sure. We're not sure. We're not sure. And I have been through a lot of hospitals. I have been through a lot of doctors, a lot of surgeons, a lot of everything. And I think that people should know exactly the way that things are and the way that doctors treat people and hospitals treat people. And that's the whole part of my series is I want to unfold the truth about the way that doctors treat people and the way that we should be treated as fairly. And if we go back to the time before they had the ultrasound, before they had the CT scans or the MRIs and stuff like that, they went by the way people looked and the way that people felt, and it was more of a touch thing and make people to where they are more comfortable. And I've been through so much with the health system and the way the health system is. I just want to do this to make sure that other people that's going through the same thing are going through stuff of the same nature. I want to make sure that they're able to understand and know that they're not the only people that's going through it. There's other people that's going through it. I know that I'm not the only person going through it. There's other people in the world that's going through the same thing. So, you know, right now we're having to deal with a major university. I'm having to deal with a major university to try to figure out what's going on because the doctors are not figuring out what's going on because it's not showing up on a CAT scan or anything. So the doctors are trying to figure out what's going on. So this is part one of the series. So keep following, subscribe, like, so that you can see me through this journey. This is a journey that needs to be seen through, and people can understand the truth and understand what's actually happening. And I'll explain it more in depth in the next one about what's actually happening with me now. Since we've explained what was going on in 2016, I'll actually explain what's going on right now and all the way up until we figure out what it actually is. So please continue to follow me, like, subscribe. This is the very first video I've ever done, so don't be too harsh on me. I'm just trying to get it out, the truth, to everybody of how hospitals and doctors treat people. Y'all have a good day and a blessed day. And like I said, don't bash on me too bad because this is the first video I've ever done on YouTube. And, I just want to get it out to the people of how things and how doctors and stuff are being treated, how they treat their patients, and how bad of a influence it is on the patients and how bad it hurts the patients and for doctors really not to care. But stay tuned for our next series, our next episode, and y'all have a good day.